I have to release fear again. So what I was gifted or was able to see and the experience was kind of like.
And then there's like this third narrative that I see is like with aliens, and you start talking about Arcturians and Pleiadians, and also kind of like we're trapped. There's this big war in heaven.
The reason I was in the hospital bed was because I went down a water slide at a lake, dove into the water head first, not knowing it was about 2 feet deep, and I impacted the lake bed with great velocity, buried my head kind of in the sand and the river stones, and I broke my neck.
2 years later, 3 years later, I think I have more questions than I have answers. Like the more people I talk to, the more I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore. This is wild. What's happening, guys? Today's guest is Nuestro. He is a artist. He does these really badass tapestries. Really cool stuff. Of course, I'm going to link it down below. The NDE starts at 27 minutes. So if you want to skip to that, you can, for those of you who are just about that business. Otherwise, you should stick around. We had a really good conversation. We talked about a lot of stuff from Samsara, like why we reincarnate. I kind of laid out my 3 narratives that I see kind of rolling around the spiritual space, and really appreciated his perspective. He had 3 tours in Iraq. His life changed when he turned to meditation, changed again after the NDE. And yeah, now he's just doing some really cool, just straight up art stuff. He's got some new jackets coming out later on, and just a really cool guy. I had a lot of fun in the conversation. If you guys are new, please consider subscribing. If you've been here, thank you so much. You guys are helping me get one step closer to doing this full time. Leave me a like and a comment. It's free and it helps this channel grow. Without further ado, let's get on with it. Well, cool, man. Do you talk about your time in the military, or is this something I know that
No,
you had some?
I'm pretty much an open book. It doesn't hurt me to talk about it. It might even be helpful to some people, you know. Yeah, you can ask me whatever you want.
Yeah, because you've had 3 tours in Iraq. You're an Army Ranger in the 1st Ranger Battalion, which is one of the most elite units in the U.S. Army. To go from that, I think, to what you're doing now it's really incredible. I mean, even just the way you're talking to me in these first couple of minutes, it's not usual, I would say, for someone who's from the military. And so I think you've had some quite spiritual experiences, which I would love to talk about, and we'll dive into those. And thank you for your service. Really mean that, man. Thank you for that. And I guess I want to start with, were you a spiritual person going into this? I mean, was that part of your background growing up, or did this come on well on later when you had your NDE and all that?
Yeah, the spirituality came on in LA when I was really struggling to find myself, and I found meditation. Somebody recognized I needed a push in a different direction and said, go to a 10-day meditation course. And I did that when I was 29. So now I'm 41. But yeah, in the military,
This
I
was
wasn't
after your
spiritual.
tours, right? Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
finished my last tour when I was 22. So I was really young, super young. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you like, looking back on it now and having this perspective that you have, how does that all connect for you? I mean, are you grateful for the experience? Do you feel, yeah, be curious on your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it connects wonderfully. I think, as you know, as a man, which you are, and I am, there's, when you kind of look at examples of what men are and what is the highest that you can attain to or aspire to. When I was young, it was movies that kind of taught me, and books, you know, Black Hawk Down, Saving Private Ryan, that taught me being a soldier, that's the top. And then if you're a special forces soldier, that's even better. If you go to war, that's even better. So I did that, and I'm really grateful because now I know what that's like. And there are a lot of tough guys really pushing themselves externally. After that, I found I was still missing something. And then I came across stories of tougher guys, you know, monks meditating in the Himalayan mountains, in the caves, spiritual masters of different kinds. And those are really tough guys in a different way. So
Yeah.
once I started following in those footsteps, then I realized, okay, it was all good because I have this perspective of what war is. I still think it's a part of certain people's karma. It certainly was a part of my karma. But then I see, okay, I can readjust my sights. You know, I can aim outside myself at someone else and try to extinguish their life as though that's the problem. Or I can extinguish this anger within me, you know, or this ego within me. So yeah, I'm grateful for being a soldier. I think I was destined to do it, and I did it.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt. Do you think it's possible to be that kind of like, well, I guess let me backtrack. I was watching this like short yesterday, and it was like it was a pretty classic like macho man guy, right? He was ripped, and he has tattoos, and he was saying like he was like cussing out psychiatrists and stuff, saying they're all lying to you. Like what you need to do is be a man. You need to like basically suck it up, right? You need to like own it. Which there were some things he said that I was like, okay, like ownership. I agree with that. But it's kind of this return to macho man,
Yeah,
like Andrew Tate kind of like there's that, and then there's also like the spiritual men, like you're talking. I love how you said that. You said the Buddhists were more tough, like in their own way. Do you think
yeah.
it's possible to be like that macho man, but also spiritual, like that, like own it, suck it up, David Goggins type, but also spiritual, or does it naturally kind of lend you to more of softer and not in like a soft way, I guess, but like a more in tune with your emotions way, I guess,
Mm.
more empathetic would probably be a better word.
I think the David Goggins approach, the tough guy approach, has merit and is useful um, for the physical body. But then to train the mind, uh, we have to be still and sit down and go deeper. But we have examples. What comes to me is the Bhagavad Gita. The main story in the Hindu faith is about a soldier, a prince, on the battlefield right at the moment the battle's about to begin, and he's looking across the battlefield and questioning, "Is this the right thing to do?" And then the embodiment of God or divine comes down, Krishna, and says, "It doesn't matter what you do as long as you're in the present moment, as long as you're not attached to the outcome of your actions." So for some people at a certain time, we, especially as men, we have so much masculine energy, so much testosterone, it needs to be used. I think there are ways to use it in higher and higher gradations. For me personally, what I've been finding, which is really sweet, is the use of our masculinity in connection with women. I have a wife. I'm very much in love with her. The idea of the Shiva energy, the sexual energy of a man, but also just the full energy of a man, and then the full energy of a woman, bringing that together in union. That's a pretty sweet way to kind of align energies and use them in a really creative way, rather than going off to war. And I think sometimes when that energy isn't understood, then one can't help but go off and fight. Um, this might be a little crass, or no, I think it's fair to include. One of the Ranger songs was, "I want to be an airborne ranger, live the life of sex and danger." So it was kind of one or the other. It was like, we have so much energy, we're so tough. Either we're gonna go find a woman in a bar, or we're gonna go to war. Somehow
Right.
we're gonna use this energy that we have. I think now I'm aware of the third way, which is the spiritual approach. But then I'm kind of aware it's all included. Wherever we are in life, whatever we're experiencing, it's all kind of spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's a really, really good way of putting that, man. W- when you got out and you did your 3 tours, you said that you were in LA, you were struggling with some PTSD, and you were led to meditation. Sounds like you did some kind of a retreat. What was it about meditation that helped you through this? Helped you through PTSD?
The first retreat I did was a Vipassana retreat. And on the fifth day, I had crazy amounts of anger coming up. And I was angry at the meditation teachers for making me come there, which was just in my own mind because I had signed up voluntarily, and they hadn't invited me. I mean, it was just, I was there, I was accepted. And I realized in that moment, I just have anger coming out. And when I sat with it and I had nobody to talk to about it and I just observed it, the next day I felt incredibly blissful. And then the day after that, I suddenly had visions of being a soldier in a past life. And I had this really clear click in my mind, which was, in my past life, I've committed acts of war, or you could say murder. And then in this life, I've done something similar. And I suddenly recognized the unwholesomeness of planting those kinds of seeds. Um, in war, the fighting I did wasn't out of anger; it was out of duty. And somebody was telling me as a young guy, "This is who you need to go after and capture or kill." So I was following orders. But in meditation, I realized, okay, big mistake or not the right path. And I thought, if I can commit myself as seriously to the special forces path, which I did, and I did very successfully, then surely I can now commit myself to the meditation path. And if everything that the monks and the teachers are saying, if all of that's true, then there's a lot to be gained and some really high mystical states that I can someday experience. So I continue to do courses. I actually left LA, moved to a meditation center in Joshua Tree, near Joshua Tree, 29 Palms, and meditated for about 2.5 years, pretty straight out. Yeah, and that flipped everything for me. I mean, it's so sweet and it's so strong.
I mean, it's a wild move to just to again. I
Yeah.
mean, it obviously affected you, right? I mean, it obviously had this powerful effect where you're like, all right, I'm gonna move. I don't know if you had a girlfriend at the time or anything like that, but you moved, did your own thing. 2.5 years is a long time to
I
to
was
dedicate to that.
my last girlfriend, and being in LA, you can relate to this. She was a go-go dancer at a
Okay.
massive club, Latin club downtown. She was super well known. Up on a box, wearing furry boots and like bikini. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely. Thank God we didn't get married. So. Yeah,
It's
it
so
changed.
interesting, man. So, which is it? Do you think it's fair to say that meditation is the key to spirituality? I guess, or like your spirituality is a weird term. It's an inner journey, right? It's like going in. Do you think that's the key? Is that the doorway? Would you say?
I think it's helpful. I think if one doesn't sit down with the eyes closed and the legs folded, the universe will continue to give you what you need to move you in a direction. Otherwise, you'll die, and that'll be the end of your life. And also, that's not bad. So I think we get what we need, even though in the moment it doesn't seem like it, and sometimes it's boring and we feel like we're stagnating. But if we have even a little bit of a desire for some type of spiritual or mystical understanding, meditation is incredibly helpful. I mean, I've never heard anybody argue against it. If anything, it's just a struggle to maintain that practice, especially now in our world. It's so tempting to do things or look at things endlessly.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're distracted on another level right now with social media, phones, all of that.
Yeah.
It's never been this distracting, I think. So, what did you see when you meditated? And then we'll jump into your NDE. I would love to talk about that. But when you meditate, do you see colors? Do you see? I mean, what is your experience like?
Following the teachings I've been gifted, that are freely available and have been around for a long, long time, thousands of years. I try to focus less on what I'm seeing, and I try to focus more on what I'm feeling in the body. And then I try to be aware every moment what I'm feeling in the body is different and it's constantly changing. So in in those states and in those moments, which I've done thousands and thousands of hours now of meditation and many, many courses of 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, I will see things, but when these visions come, I try not to get too attached to them. Um, I see it kind of like smoke leaving the fire. If it suddenly takes a really beautiful shape, so be it. But if I suddenly start looking at the smoke, I've kind of lost the focus on the fire. And what I'm intending to do is just sit with whatever's coming up, which is miraculous when you're sitting and you're just in a quiet, dark room or a cell or a cave, and suddenly you're feeling sexual energy or anger or love or jealousy or fear seemingly coming out of nowhere. So to be with that flaming and be with that burning and allow it to turn into whatever it needs to and leave. So yeah, the visions are kind of endless. Sometimes I see things that are so strong I remember them. So in one particular point during a course in the beginning of COVID 2020, I was on a 30-day course and I had no idea COVID had started. All of us were in silence. We didn't catch the news. during the course, I started to see flashes around the world of just different weird things happening. A funeral in South America, a janitor mopping the floor in Russia. Suddenly, I was having what seemed to be remote viewing in a lot of random places that didn't make sense. But then when I came out, I suddenly saw, oh, this guy was mopping the floor and putting up signs for COVID. That was a funeral in South America for somebody who had died from some sickness, and it was associated with this. And those people wearing things on their face, that was because of whatever was going on. So sometimes I will see things in different areas, or I'll have strong dreams or premonitions of what's coming in the future. But I try not to focus on that too much. I'm I'm good enough with what comes in dreams. When I meditate, I really try to just be aware and not get attached to anything, no matter how wonderful it looks or how scary it is.
That's really good advice. I think I'm still stuck in that stage where like I see colors, it happens every time, and then I can't. I'm almost like trapped there because I just see it and I almost can't not look at it, and then I watch it change colors. For me, it's usually green, purple, green, purple, green, purple, and it just is there. And I think I get too obsessed with like, yeah, watching it. So I loved how you said it's like you're focusing on the smoke rather than the flame.
Hmm. Well, green is heart chakra. Green is also, you know, the energy of nature. Purple is kind of the higher mystical energy. You know, you see it a lot in when people are drawing magic, a magic scene. There's, you know, purple smoke. So those that just kind of is reflecting to you where you're at. It's kind of a heart-centered, nature-centered understanding. The one of the nice things to do, or you know, the key or the trick that I've been told is when that's coming up, if you get caught on it, then you're there. If you let it go and give it no importance, then it starts to get more interesting. Then you let that go as well. But
Okay.
even that, if you're seeing those colors, that's great.
Yeah, it happens there. It's weird because it's consistent for me. And I'll do my best to explain. But it's like so it's purple first always, and then it's swirling around, and then it's these like little shots of green. It looks like what's that test? It's a psychology test where they do the ink blots, where it's like just I forget
Yeah, yeah,
the
and they
test.
fold. Yeah, it's you see a
Yeah, so it's
butterfly or
like
you see a devil or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be like it'll be purple and then it'll be like this green. It'll go like that, and it's always green, and it's like not quite geometrical, but definitely like I can't make out any distinct shape, and then it fades, and then it goes back to
Mhm.
purple, and then it goes boom, green again, and it just does that. And I probably because I'm just sitting there focusing on it though,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty interesting. It happens every single time. So yeah, I'm gonna try not to give that importance. I'm gonna really work on that. That'd
And the
be
way to do that too, and we can move on. But the way to do that is then to see and ask yourself, what am I feeling in the body at this moment? So you're
okay.
seeing it, but that's kind of again like the smoke or something else moving in the body. So what's the energy you feel? If you find the feeling, um, yeah, it'll deepen. It'll deepen. You know, yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Um, Okay, I actually have one more question, and then we'll dive into your NDE. Would you define yourself as a Buddhist?
I mean, what I'm doing is pretty darn Buddhist. This tapestry and the images in it, and even the other day, I was at a retreat, a gathering of some like spiritual luminaries here in the UK, and a woman took a look at what I was doing. She's a lecturer on Tibetan Buddhism at Oxford, and she said, "Do you know that you've sewn a secret symbol that only initiates of a certain level of Tibetan Buddhism even know about?" And she knew it because of her initiation and her training. So without even trying, it's quite Buddhist, but also I like to think it's not just Buddhist because I'm doing Archangel Michael, I've added other angels. So really what I'm interested in is tapping into the spiritual unseen and putting it in art form. And when I'm doing that, it doesn't tell me this is Buddhist and this is Hindu and this is Christian. It's more of just an understanding that there are spirits around, there are energies around, there are devas, angels, that kind of thing. So, and I don't consider myself a Buddhist, but my wife probably would tell people I'm a Buddhist. So,
The reason I ask actually is not because I'm curious how you define yourself. I have been getting these comments. I do a lot of videos on NDEs and OBEs. Um, it's kind of been a fascination for me. It's actually like the door that led me into kind of my own. Again, I hate all the cliche words, but like my own journey of this, spirituality and just kind of going down my own path and still asking questions, man. 2 years later, 3 years later, I think I have more questions than I have answers. Like the more people I talk to, the more I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore. This is wild. Um, but I get a lot of comments, and it does lead me to like go look into it, and then I watch other interviews. It's almost like to me, there's these three narratives, and I wanted to get your opinion on it. One of them is I might say this wrong, but samsara, right? Like this
Yeah, yeah,
idea that we are reincarnating back and you're trapped almost, and you're like
yeah.
constantly. That is a Buddhist, but also not completely Buddhist. I think there's actually origins even before that. But um, here's the three narratives that I can come up with, and maybe you can help me with this. But it's almost like there's this narrative that I hear from NDE people that you plan your own life. It's on purpose. You have guides. You come down here. You have these markers in your life. You kind of all work towards these markers, but there's free will. So all this other stuff can happen. But you're here to learn. That's kind of like the thing. It's like this is a school. You're here to expand your soul. You're here to learn. You're here to experience things. It's not always about a purpose, like this big lofty purpose. It's just to be. It's to be here, to laugh, to love, to cry, to experience. Okay. That's one narrative I'm kind of like picking up on. Then there's this narrative of like samsara slash like you're trapped here, and it's like it's actually kind of a dark. I don't know. It feels dark, at least. Maybe the way that people say it is dark, but they're also super convinced that that's what's happening. You're trapped. You're going up on levels, and actually, there is no. Even the gods are experiencing certain levels, and they're dropping down, like based on their karma or based on how they react. It's very interesting. Like when I looked into it, I was like, okay, there's like animal kingdoms, human, demigods, gods, and they're all experiencing some form of karma and or reincarnation, rebirth, and going back up and down these levels. And the way out is, I guess, I don't even know the way out, but that's one narrative. And then there's like this third narrative that I see is like with aliens, and you start talking about Arcturians and Pleiadians, and also kind of like we're trapped. There's this big war in heaven, and there's lizard people like in the middle of the earth, and there's like, I mean, it's just wild. And then I'm like, which one is true, and or what is going on? Like there's this like, does that make sense? I mean, I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
genuinely get
yeah.
confused, and I'm like, what is going on? I don't know which one is real, and it confuses me, man. And so you being I guess familiar with Buddhism, I'm curious on your thoughts on maybe that second narrative.
Yeah. Well, and everything you've mentioned, I feel like anybody watching this video will kind of know a little bit of all of that, including the lizard people in the center of the earth who are getting ready to come out or are coming out, including the aliens in the sky. I'm I'm kind of like you where I feel like I know, not that I know less, or there's so much going on. I continue to think and be reminded the most important thing is to be a kind person to those around us and to ourselves. That's kind of starting point. And
I like
then
that.
whatever can manifest in the universe seems to be infinite. I've living in Costa Rica with my wife, we had quite a few alien encounters, seeing things in the sky, seeing beings walking on the beach, quite real stuff. Very alien-y stuff is happening in Costa Rica right now and in England, crop circles. I think also certain people can be in human form very demonic, doing very evil things. We can see that on the news. I think that aliens, angels, those could be synonymous, or they could be gradations of materiality. So maybe as you kind of move up the angelic scale and there's less and less material, it's more and more energy. There could be a war going on in heaven. It kind of seems like that. So when you said that, a part of me thought and felt, yeah, that's true. And then the idea that we're trapped here, I don't think it's that we're trapped. There's a part of me that feels it's all a choice to kind of come and experience the spice of existence and then find our way all the way back to source, where we merge with everything and we look back at all of it and see it as all okay. The word that is Buddhist that comes to mind is paticca samuppada, which was a word that the Buddha used a lot, which means interdependent. And he would say again and again, everything is interwoven, interdependent. Nothing is disconnected or random. There is free will in a way, and that I don't want to get too much into because I don't even know, is there free will if we're all returning to source when we get there? Did it all really matter anyway? But the the thing that we hear a lot is that love is kind of that's the blinking neon sign that keeps flashing. And now in the times we're living in, I think fear is flashing a lot from the human space, and a lot of people are focusing on that. I don't at all. I think love is very strong, and we're kind of here as love generators in a way. And we're at a very pivotal time where I wouldn't be surprised if the aliens landed or angels came down and landed on a mountain, or some baby is born and it's like a miraculous divine person, or maybe that person is already walking around. So I think there's a whole lot going on, and everything that you said is included because we ourselves are manifestors. And if enough people believe it, I think even the belief in something gives it an energy and brings it about. And now with AI, we're entering a very new phase where we'll be creating and are creating, robot beings. But I think even those are also interlaced with karma and are not separate from reality and everything else. So yeah, there's a whole bunch going on. It can get a little confusing when we try to figure out what's going on. But when we turn off our phones and look around our surroundings, it starts to become a little easier. Does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the answer is there is no, like, anyone who tells you they know the answer, I think is like, I don't think anyone really knows. I think we all have very strong opinions on things, or I like what you said, because I've had those moments where I'm sitting there, obviously, and I get overwhelmed kind of, and then I get too confused, and I go, okay, well then that's clearly not like something for me to just sit there and like obsess over, because it's not leading me to a place where I feel good. So what makes me feel good? Like helping other people, or when I get emails about people like really enjoying an episode, and like that makes me feel good. So why not just focus on that, right? And my family, which is what you're saying, love, and so that kind of makes sense. I'm just an explorer though, brother. I'm gonna like keep asking these questions. I'm gonna keep like I can't
Yeah, yeah.
help it. Like
Same,
I'm
same. I'm looking forward to my next trip to somewhere new, and meditating with somebody new, or looking at the art, the spiritual art, that kind of stuff. So yeah,
yeah.
I think the explorer spirit is incredibly important. The searching. Oh, hold on, oh man, my phone said 10% battery. That's a horrible. That's a horrible.
Okay, so yeah, I think we're both kind of in the same vein there. We like to explore, ask questions. Okay, I would love to pivot to your NDE if you want to do that. I'd love
Sure.
to talk about that experience, man.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
could start from wherever you want. Start from the surgery, start from whatever makes sense.
yeah. I'll give the basic rundown of what happened or what's present for me now. I found myself in a hospital bed, signing a paper to agree that I knew the surgery that was about to be performed on my neck could result in my own paralysis or my own death. And after I signed that paper, I knew I had about 10 seconds before I would lose consciousness because I was being put under. The reason I was in the hospital bed was because I went down a water slide at a lake, dove into the water head first, not knowing it was about 2 feet deep, and I impacted the lake bed with great velocity, buried my head kind of in the sand and the river stones, and I broke my neck. That, especially now in this moment, was all very divine and very sweet. And even sharing it, I know it sounds incredibly painful, but when it was happening, it was so otherworldly and it was so unexpected. I wasn't diving in preparing for pain. I was diving in on a blissful summer day, and being ex-military with all of my training and everything I know, and just being a pretty intelligent guy, educated at UC Berkeley, I knew, and being around water my whole life, I knew you shouldn't do that. And it was as though I was on autopilot, and something was not forcing me, but very firmly allowing me to do that and totally making me forget to ever check the depth of water. So it happened. Now I'm in the hospital bed. I signed this paper, and I had to do it with my left hand because my body was already beginning to like enter into a paralyzed state. Or what had happened when I impacted the bottom of the lake was I shattered my vertebrae in multiple places in my neck. And then I had a car ride of about 30 to 40 minutes to the hospital, not knowing it was broken. And I was just sitting there in tons of pain, holding my own neck, knowing if it's a bad neck injury, I should at least be stabilizing it. I know quite a bit of emergency medicine through the military. Got to the hospital, found out it was broken. So here I am going into surgery, and knowing that they're putting me under, and knowing this might be the moment of my death from all of the training. And training makes it sound too intense, but because I've meditated so much and listened to so many Dhamma talks and talks on the finality of life and samsara and future lives, I knew, or I had been told at least, that at the moment of death, if you're in great fear, that's not so great, because then you're giving off the vibe of fear, and you'll enter into another body or another existence that matches that vibration. So you might enter into a very fearful state. You might be born into a really unfortunate experience where there's immediately a lot of fearful stuff going on. And if you enter death in a peaceful state, then your vibration will be of peace. And then the next life moment could be in a heavenly realm, or you could be born into a very loving womb and have a very blissful experience of birth. And if you can have neither fear nor pain, and even leaving the idea of peace, if you can just be focused on the breath, then all of your karma kind of relaxes, and you're in the best possible state to leave the body. So I did that, and I did it with not a lot of stress, because I knew I only have to do this for 10 seconds. And it's hard to observe your breath for, even a minute, but 10 seconds I knew I could do. I had done it before. So I signed this paper. I started to observe my breathing. Maybe I observed 3 breaths, and I was out, and I was far, far away and out. Oh, where did I go? What happened? It was so different. The thing that I remember was the end of it. So I know now, in retrospect, sitting here in my human body again, I know that I went somewhere. That was the experience. It was far, far away from my body. I know that. I met beings. I say 6 tall beings of light. At this point, it's hard to remember that. And because I've said it a couple times, I've kind of given it form, and other people have heard this story. I felt, and I have the feeling of encountering really divine energies that didn't have bodies. And they shared with me some important stuff that was helpful for my own life journey. And I was being given a directive, a mission, and an option. The idea that was conveyed to me was, you need to return, you need to do the work, and you won't remember what you have just seen or what has just transpired. Now it's been 5 years since that moment, a little over 5 years, and I've been doing the work. The work is, sewing a massive tapestry with, the Madonna face on it, and galaxies, and this is only a small section. It's massive. It's many meters tall and many meters wide. And it's taken me all around the globe. I've sewn in many different places. As I've been doing the work, the memories have kind of returned. And I have a very sweet memory of kind of flying through the cosmos and flying past infinite numbers of galaxies, kind of like running through a field of flowers, just in awe of the sheer grandeur and beauty of galaxies. We're told there are millions, billions of them. Well, to see them one after the other, they're all so unique, and they're all swirling, and they're all light, I feel like I was able to see some of that. And then I feel as though I was able to kind of zoom in on some of these galaxies and see what was going on the planets around these galaxies, and to see it is quite infinite. And depending on one's vibration, you get the exact spot you need to be in, and it's all included. It's all spinning it's all spinning perfectly. And when you zoom out, it all makes sense. And it only doesn't make sense when we're in human body looking out, trying to make sense of it all. The other thing that I know I saw, because now and over the last 5 years, it's really come through powerfully, is I saw my previous life. I might have seen the shadows of some others, but I saw pretty clearly who I was in the previous life. And because we live in a time now where there are books and photographs from people who lived in the early 1900s, I've been able to find a photograph of myself. I've been able to find that man's embroidery, and it matches the embroidery and the tapestry I'm doing. I've been able to go and travel to the monastery where this man lived as a monk after he was a soldier in World War II. I was able to talk with the monks and confirm that I was him. They allowed me to meditate in his old kuti. That was a very powerful experience. As I was meditating, a tree fell down outside. I thought, oh, now I'm definitely going to die. I thought it was, as it was cracking, I thought, okay, it's going to fall on me. I have to release fear again. So what I was gifted or was able to see, and the experience was kind of like we're in a life stream. Each of us, we are not a stagnant thing. Every moment our body's changing, our thoughts are changing, the world's changing around us. I was kind of able to jump up above my life stream, which isn't really mine, and just see how I've been many different things, many different people. And seeing the past was very helpful to see and understand why I am where I am now, and to remind me to continue doing the work, that it's more than a one lifetime job. The seeking we feel, we didn't start looking for God or spirituality in this life, in the Aquarian age in 2025. It's been going on since we separated from God, or decided to enter into the play of being conscious. And then the other thing too that it really did open was a connection to dead people, or a connection to spirits, and as I've returned, I began to do channeling, and that even makes it sound too much of a thing, but just naturally, as I'm sewing and people are hanging out, I would feel the spirits of loved ones who have passed over in the room. And as I gained confidence and an understanding of what was going on, I began to share some of those feelings that were coming through. And now I'm at a point where people will call and book a call, and I'll lay down flat, kind of return to that space where I sort of leave, have the feeling of leaving, and I can allow people who have passed over, or spirits or angels or devas, to communicate. But I still don't know exactly what I saw in totality, because it felt like I was there for years. It was like Inception or something. I was in surgery for maybe 6 hours. I was in that space for a long time and beyond time. So much time that in a moment, I came back and knew how to sew giant cosmic tapestries, and I've never sewn before. This is my first time still, and it's a strange thing to say. And it's pouring out. I mean, I have another one here that this is a small one, my side hustle one, or
I mean,
just
dude,
another
these
one.
are awesome. These are really cool.
It's just a.
They look like you just shot up DMT and then closed your eyes and just went after it.
Yeah, and that's and what is DMT, and what is it stripping away, so that we can reconnect to that DMT space. I actually haven't done
I
DMT
have.
straight up, but I've done ayahuasca, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's gnarlier than DMT, I hear. So
You should, as soon as you're ready, switching to ayahuasca and mushroom ceremony with music, quite sweet. But yeah, that's kind of what happened, and it's been then 5 years of sewing, traveling, and even now I still don't quite know exactly what's going on. I'm about to do an exhibition in Glastonbury, heart chakra of the world, a stone's throw from King Arthur's tomb, a stone's throw from the Abbey, the mythical, mystical Abbey where apparently Mary Magdalene may have walked the land, Joseph of Arimathea, a lot of very ancient mystical energy, witches, wizards around there, Merlin, Knights of the Templar. And one of the strangest things that's happened recently is that, and actually I can lift, we'll do this. I have a neighbor who also does embroidery and has a very famous red dress that's been traveling the world for 10 years. It's being embroidered by women from all over the world. At this point, I think 360 women have embroidered into this one red dress. And in the dress is a galaxy that perfectly matches a galaxy I've sewn
Wow.
right here.
Wow.
So, and she's not always based here. I'm not always based here in this tiny little English countryside town. When that happened, it just reminded me I don't know what my path is going forward. I don't know how the journey will open up going forward, but I do know it's a little bit about cleansing bad habits. It's a little bit about being kinder and trying to figure out what love is and doing it. You know, it's a word we have. Um, it means many different things, but clearly we're alive on the planet now to generate more of it. At least I think it's, I hope it's clear, you know?
That's awesome. Do you know if like when you were in the surgery, did something go wrong or anything like that? Like did you actually die like flatline or anything? Or was it more like whatever happened during that, the universe source used that time to just transport you back? Maybe it doesn't matter, but do you know if you did do you know if something
I
went
don't,
wrong, I guess?
yeah, nothing was said to me like you died. You know, I didn't come out
Okay.
and say, "Whoa, man, that was really close. You died." So I can't claim that. But also, I am aware now, in a very experiential way, our idea of the finality of death, like, oh, I have died and left. That has changed its flavor for me. That the understanding of that is quite different. Yeah, but no, I didn't. You know, it wasn't. Oh no, actually, well, yeah. I mean, it's all kind of inconsequential. It's like the hospital was just the bus station, and I got on a very cosmic bus and went on a wild cosmic hippie ride with angels through the cosmos. You know, and coming back to the bus station, however I got my ticket and arrived there is
Yeah, it
not that
almost doesn't
important.
matter, right? It's like
There
who
is
cares? I mean,
there was a moment the day before when I first arrived in the hospital. I did refuse morphine, so I didn't want to take morphine because at that time it had only been an hour or so since I broke my neck, and I've been in a lot of physical pain in ranger school, in ranger selection, in war. You know, I've seen a lot, I've experienced a lot, and even in meditation, there have been moments where I experienced, for no understandable reason, massive amounts of bodily pain. And what I was experiencing in my neck, I knew I could hang with it for a while. So I didn't take any morphine. But as that went on for a couple hours, my body became incredibly weak. And by the time I needed morphine and requested it, when it was administered, my heart did stop and I did start to tunnel backwards, or had the experience of getting pulled backwards into a tunnel. So at that moment, my heart definitively did stop. I heard the flat line. I could see my body on the stretcher in front of me. Although as it was happening, I didn't think it was my body. It was all quite mystical. So yes, so in that moment, heart stopped, physical body we could say is dead. But in all of these, uh, yeah, these cases of, you know, he really died, she really died. Well, clearly we none of us really died because we're all still here. You know, there's some energy in the body that is still there. There's some connection that was never quite severed. When it's fully severed, then we're fully dead, and none of those people are on YouTube. You know,
that's fair.
you know.
That's a really good point. I think people get hung up right on like the terminology of it or like uh yeah, near death experience, like it's very specifically, and I always get like comments like astral projection and OBEs, they're like different. And it's like, okay, well, we're
Yeah,
just talking about the experience here. The experience is what is important, right? It's what changed everything for you.
I think, and I'll say too, because I have great respect for other people that have had heart-stopping experiences. There are many people who have had their heart stop for long periods of time and haven't been breathing for long periods of time.
Hmm.
there are also, and this is important that we acknowledge it, that happens in a near-death experience. I've heard of car crashes, people have drowned in icy water, that kind of thing. When a monk or a lama, or maybe the Dalai Lama, enters into the state of nibbanic absorption, the heart stops and the breathing stops. So that's a near-death experience that is fully controlled and conscious. And there are videos on YouTube. They're much less searched and sought out because those monks are quite wise and don't talk about what they do. But there are videos of monks sitting there, and then they just kind of slump forward. Their heart has stopped and their breathing has stopped. And they will do that for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or 3 hours. There is one video that I know of, and it's still out there, where there's a yogi in a cave, and a tourist, or a young guy kind of like us who's searching, goes back every day and films this yogi. The only thing that changes is the snow accumulating on his knees, the hair on his face grows a little bit longer, and his fingernails grow. He's dead. His heart has stopped and his breathing has stopped. Eventually they go back and the yogi is just not there. Did he die or did he materialize somewhere else? Nobody really knows. But there are the near-death experiences that we could say God or the divinity of the universe gifts to somebody, because everybody who has an NDE seems to like it. And I was invited to the NDE conference last year in Phoenix. Wonderful people, loving people. Nobody's stressed about it. Then there are the NDEs done by the yogis in the Himalayas, in the caves. Those take some training, but they're conscious. Food for thought.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
And I want to meet those guys. Those are like,
Yeah.
And I'll do a little prayer. Last time I prayed to stay in Astral, and a hurricane blew me out of there. But may I please meet some yogis in Tibet very soon.
That's awesome, man. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's an incredible story. Incredible. And so it's led you to what you're doing now, right? I mean, you have these really, really, really cool tapestries you're doing. Very sweet. I'm going to link everything down below. So definitely do you sell them at all? Are they?
Yeah, let me show one, because it helps to show, only because
Yeah, show me.
These threads cost like 60 pounds when they're big. Yeah, let me show one. Yeah. So what I ended up doing was I took a photograph, which was quite a process, but I took a photograph of the tapestry, and then I made a
Oh, so good.
cliche.
Cool.
So these are incredibly high quality prints on, your top of the line archival paper.
That's awesome.
They're
Okay.
they're pricey because they're fine art prints, but now I have posters, and the posters are amazing. It's like if I was a teenager, I put it in my bedroom, and they're very affordable. So those are the two things I mainly do. I'm working on a cosmic jacket line,
Cool.
embroidering into 50s style UK military uniforms, but I think maybe I won't
Sick.
share that yet. But that'll be cool. That's coming up. Kind of to flip the script. I figured if I can put some cosmic energy into military stuff and really change the paradigm, that might be helpful.
I love that, man. I think that's awesome. I can't wait. Can't wait to see that. Oh man, you're a fascinating dude. I mean, I really enjoyed speaking with you. I think your journey's incredible, and I think good example for a lot of people out there who are maybe going through some PTSD or going through something, that there's a way to get some help, man, and whether it be through meditation or actually, I think it's an inward journey, right? It's what it's got to be, and so maybe it's through meditation, but I think you're a great example of that, man. And just to see where you're at now is incredible. And again, thank you for your service, man. Thank you for all you do. I love that. I seriously love your tapestries. I think they're really cool. I'm gonna buy a poster. I mean,
Thanks,
that's
man.
on camera,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna get one. Yeah, man. And your experience. I mean, that's pretty insane that happened to you. But cool to see where it ended up. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and one thing too that's coming to mind, for just as I'm thinking of the people that will be watching this, meditation is helpful, but it takes time. Yesterday, my wife and I just went and climbed the tallest hill in the area where we are on the countryside, and we sat and watched the sunset. And I just said a prayer out loud, which it wasn't any prayer I have memorized. It was more just an asking to the sun and to the sky and to the energies around and the angels, just asking for what we need, asking for guidance, asking for signs, really strong signs that are undeniable. And then this morning, my wife came to me and said, "Wow, I had a really powerful dream. I know, I know what it means." And then later in the afternoon, just before I got on the call with you, a friend said, "Hey, do you want to stay in our house for about 2 weeks? We have a sauna and it's really nice and yada yada." So our prayer was answered pretty quickly, and I think I forget sometimes it can be as simple as just going out in nature and just talking to nature and just asking for what we need. That's not that hard. That's easier than meditation, I think. And then I think we live in a divine universe, and it's the age of Aquarius. Let us not forget, this is like wild shifting times, and it's for the better. I think we're heading into the Aquarian age, if not already there. And a lot of big mystical things are going to continue to open up. A lot of big new understandings are going to continue to unearth themselves. So yeah, there's a lot of good coming. There's some fires burning on the planet as well, but there's a lot of good coming. I feel it. I feel it.
Yeah, very true. I'm the type of guy, definitely, even 3 years ago, if you're to say like just ask for help, I'm like, okay, ask for help. I've asked for help before. I don't get help, but it is true. I mean, in my own life, just knowing, having a full 180, asking for help, asking for guidance, even with my work, right? I have things that are going on, that a lot of changes, a lot going on with my family, but I ask for help, and something always does pop up when you just allow it to show up and not have expectations on how it's going to show up. I think that's the key. But you ask for the help you need. And when I really look back on it, like right now, today, 33 years old, I have always gotten what I needed.
Are you 33?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So 33, Jesus died when he was 33,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There are also 33 vertebrae in the spine. Do you know that?
No.
No. Okay. So there's a lot of very interesting, mystical, occult, hidden knowledge about the 33 and the death of Jesus or Yeshua, also aligning with the older teachings of spiraling the sexual or just the energy from the root chakra, which is our like testes or ovaries if you're a woman, spiraling that up through the stomach, through the chest area, through the heart, up through the neck, up through the mind, and up even higher, and in a way dying, but in a way awakening to higher energies. The age 33 specifically and explicitly is really, really powerful. I remember being 33, and it's wild. So that the space you're in now too is quite interesting, because you are a channel or a conduit in the real world, inviting in a lot of people to speak who are sharing a lot of different stories, which may or may not resonate with you, but they're going to make it to different ears. But you're also receiving what you need, bits and pieces from each person, So yeah, I think, yeah, maybe prayer is not right for you in this moment, but also whatever you've asked for in the past, some of it's coming through clearly.
Yeah,
Also, I'll
definitely.
send you, I'll link you, or I won't share it publicly, but there's a book you should read too that I feel just personally for you, it'll be good, but I'll share that later. If
I would
anybody
love
wants
that,
to know,
man.
they can message me privately.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. No, it's weird, man. I wasn't planning on starting this channel this year. It's the first time I ever went to a medium was this year. Like for whatever reason, not even conscious of knowing that 33 was like this specific time. I was like, yeah, it's kind of funny. Like I don't know, all these things started happening this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and the channel's been like growing kind of fast, man. And I'm like, whoa, this is kind of nuts. Like, I don't know. So it is kind of weird.
I I would say this might sound out there, but maybe in a year people will be like, no, no, he was right, or they were onto something. I think AI and the algorithms now are a lot more awake than we understand, and that they are being positioned and posited and pushed in different directions based on intention, but I think there is a desire globally for peace. And I think that is somehow working the cogs in the machine. And we can't quite understand exactly how it's happening, but I've been not talking for 5 years. I've done a couple interviews, but the amount of time I've spent sewing is like 13,000 hours, and I haven't said much, but I continue to be amazed at how the connection that happens through the digital medium seems to be getting some help. If there are angels, maybe they have iPads now or something, you know.
For sure, right?
Maybe like there's something, it's not excluded, it's all included. So yeah, I looked at your channel too, and I thought, because I'm pretty selective now. I get a lot of requests, and I don't want to waste my time. I could be sewing, and that takes time. But when I saw you and I saw your smile, and I thought, okay, here's this guy. I knew you're in California somehow. I don't know if somebody told me, or I lived in California. I know how you sound and act. You know, there's like a vibe, Encinitas. You know, but yeah, There's something about what you're doing. I don't know how it's working either, because some of your videos have gotten a lot of views, some not so much. But I think, yeah, I think, and also same with the videos I've done. Some of them get tons of views, and I've recognized it's only so much what we do on the phone, on the computer. A lot of it is just what we're doing in our own minds and our own hearts. Somehow it is all connected, you know. So yeah, maybe you and we continue meditating on our own. Maybe we quit a couple more bad habits, pick up some more good ones, and yeah, then you'll blast off and be the new Joe Rogan of spirituality or
Oh
something.
gosh.
But then watch out. Be careful what you wish for when the genie comes out of the lamp, you know.
I know. Well, man, I appreciate you. No, I think it's a lot of fun. I think we're all exactly where we're supposed to be, even in those moments where I don't believe that. I think I deep down I do. It's been hard. Some parts have been easy, but it's a journey. Say that. It's definitely been a journey,
Yeah.
man. So appreciate you, dude. It's been
Yeah,
I really
likewise.
like meeting you. You're the
Yeah,
man,
like,
dude. I really respect you a lot. Thank you for your service again, and I'm excited to see these jackets come out. I'm stoked for that.
yeah.
I'm a fashion guy, so I'm happy about that. If I can afford one, I'm gonna get one. So, or if you don't sell them, I don't know what you're gonna do with them, but
I think we're gonna
maybe
do
someday.
we'll do something. We'll see. Yeah, it'll be around.
Cool, man.
Cool.
Cool. All right, Nuestro, I appreciate you, dude. I'll let you know when this launches. I'll link your website. People want to get a session with you. I know you do those, so that'll be up there. But yeah, man. Until next time, dude. I'm excited to watch just you grow. So it'll be fun.
Cool. One last thing. I don't know if there's time. I'm gonna be,
Yeah, go for it.
and you can cut it or you can plug it.
No, go for it.
There is a giant fashion and embroidery expo at the National Event Center in Birmingham in the UK next year, and I'm going to be one of the featured artists. I recently found out it's a massive thing. They're going to be like
Congrats, man.
20,000 people. So yeah, I'm going to be in meditation. I won't be speaking. I'll be like a monk, just sewing nonstop. But if people want to stop by, they can see what I'm working on in person.
Oh, incredible.
And yeah, and I never thought I'd be at the Fashion and Embroidery Expo. That was not
How funny, right? Like how that
what I
like
signed up
how that
for as an
happens.
Army Ranger. But yeah, I think I know at least one person watching this is in the UK, and they can make it next year. It's in March, so that'll be worth it in itself. So I'll see you there, whoever you are.
Totally. So good,
Cool,
man.
man.
All right,
All
brother.
right.
I appreciate you, dude.
All
Until
right.
next time. All right,
Until
man.
next
Cheers.
time.